Yo, what's good? Next Gen Amolytics. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your day. I'll give a quick recap of last night, then we'll move forward on to today. We went 4 for 5. Just missed out on the sweep. Rushman didn't come through against Sears out in Sacramento. However, Judge went 3 for 5 with a double and I want to say a single against Buehler. New York got Buehler out of there real quick. He went 2 innings pitch, I want to believe, and seven hits and 7 earned there. And then Soto and Alonso came through in Colorado. Soto going 3 for 4, Alonso going 1 for 4, and then Altuve went 2 for 5 in Cleveland there. So 3 out of the 5, had 2+ hits there, and then 4 out of the 5 had 2+ bases. You can play these any way that you want. It's up to your discretion. These are just spots that I like. Like last night, someone played Soto, Altuve, and Judge for 2+ hits there and cash that out. So, do what you want to do with these. Moving forward, I'm going to talk about today. Oh, and then that home run play. That game got suspended. It's supposed to start at 2 p.m. Eastern today as far as Cincinnati and Arizona. Stevenson out there. So that's still in play. Could happen there as well. But today, I like Freddie Freeman. He's going against Eric Fetty of St. Louis. Fetty's currently giving a 142 whip up to left-handed hitters. And then, Freeman has a 469 weighted OVA with a 16% K rate over the course of the past 2 weeks against right-handed pitching. Fetty's throwing his sinker and cutter quite a bit, and then a changeup as an off-speed, which, all three Freeman can hit, especially that changeup. So I like this spot. I like the Dodgers to get to Fetty, quickly. I watched them a couple weeks back against Baltimore, and he really didn't look good at all. Gave up 9 base runners there, maybe 3 earned. And then he just faced Texas. He pitched decent there, went 6 innings pitched, 7 base runners, 2 earned. But, Texas is by far one of the worst offenses in the league. So I'm not putting much weight on that. I think the Dodgers bounced back after losing last night, and putting up 0 runs. I expect them to get, on base early and often. Next up, I like Pena. Pena going against Gavin Williams. I will say Williams has been pitching better as of late, but he did just get hit up against the Dodgers, and then got hit up as well as against the Phillies. He pitched well against, let me find exactly who it was that he saw. So he pitched well against the Angels at home last week, and then Minnesota, he looked pretty good. Minnesota's not good though. And then Milwaukee, he went 5 innings, pitched 5 base runners, 2 earned there. I will say he's definitely pitching way better than he was, early on in the year. However, I still feel like he struggles with righties way more than he does lefties. Pena's been hitting quite well. Over the course of the past 2 weeks, he has a 469 weighted OBA against righties and striking out at 13% rate. He's on a, I want to say 12 game, let me find the exact number, 12 game hitting streak right now. And then, Gavin Williams is throwing that 4-seamer quite a bit to righties, which Pena has been hitting over the course of the past 2 weeks as well. So I like this spot for Pena to keep it going with his hitting streak. Next up, I like Wilson of the Athletics going against Charlie Morton of Baltimore. Let me find this. So Wilson, over the course of the past 2 weeks, has been a 498 weighted OBA with 11% K rate against righties. Has a 7-game hitting streak going on. Morton has a 0.90 whip against righties right now. But to put context on that, he was coming out of the bullpen for May because he looked so bad at the beginning of the year. So they gave him like bullpen, starts there, and not starts, but stints there. And, he had 2 starts, previously against St. Louis and Chicago. Pitched decent against St. Louis. And then I don't really count, Chicago for anything. White Sox, let me clarify. The Cubs are pretty good, but the White Sox are horrible. He gave up 7 base runners there. I just don't. Sometimes with these numbers, you got to have context behind them, and that's his. Over the course of the year, I looked into it more. Over the course of the year, he's struggling with righties way more than he does lefties. He's pushing a I want to say, let me find his pitch mix. Against righties, he's throwing the curveball 51% of the time, and then he has a sinker and four-seamer that he's using for the rest of his pitch mix, in which, I looked in Wilson's can hit the curveball, and he loves to hit, the fastballs being the sinker and the four-seamer. So I like this for Wilson. As I said, he's one of those players that doesn't strike out and puts the ball in play, and that gives us a chance. So I like this spot for him. I like this to be an over game as well. This should be a lot of runs scored out in Sacramento today. Next up, I can have Elly De La Cruz of Cincinnati. He's going against Ryan Nelson of Arizona. So this is going to be same type of instance that I just spoke about for Morton. Nelson's whip is very low right now. It's a .67. However, he's been in and out of the bullpen, over the course of the past month or so, over the course of the past season. To be honest, he's only started 3 games this year, so they kind of he doesn't really have a rhythm, I feel like, and so you have to take that into context. When you're coming out the bullpen, you're only seeing maybe 3, maybe 6 batters at the most. I will say over the course of these couple starts, he's looked all right. Excuse me. Against Pittsburgh, he got 4 hits, 0 earned, 6.2 innings pitched. Pittsburgh's not good. He was at home there. But I will say this LA start against the Dodgers was pretty good. Gave up 4 base runners, 1 earned there. For some reason, though, I looked into it, he just pitches well against the Dodgers. So, I'm not quite certain why. And then against the Mets at the beginning of May, he gave up 7 base runners, 2 earned, and only went 4 1/3. Yeah, as I said, the context of that, you gotta look. He was in the bullpen, so it is a small sample size here. However, he's pitching his four-seamer quite a bit, which I love for Eli. Eli's batting a 657 weighted OBA over the course of the past 2 weeks against right-handed pitching and a 9.4 K rate with a 560 ISO. So he's hitting for power as well. Let me go look at this four-seamer. So Ryan Nelson is throwing that fastball 66 or four-seamer 66% of the time. And let me find exactly what De La Cruz is doing with that. So the course of the past 2 weeks, De La Cruz is batting a 832 weighted OBA, 4 extra base hits, 3 home runs, and a 10% K rate against the fastball. Four-seamer, I don't know why I keep saying fast. The four-seamer, which is, Nelson is throwing, almost 70% of the time at 66% there. I love this matchup. I love it to be a lot of runs here as well. I also have another one, on the other side of this that I like, being Ketel Marte going against Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez, over the course of the past 30 days, has a 161 whip against lefties, as well as a 9% K to walk rate. Marte is hitting a 601 weighted OBA, a 10% K rate. And I believe same thing here with Martinez. He's throwing his four-seamer quite a bit. Let me find exactly what it is. It's supposed to be hot in Cincy today, I believe. Oh, so he's throwing his changeup at 39% and his four-seamer at 36%, in which Marte was hitting both. And for context for these, picks that I'm liking on today, I'm also looking at their squared up rate. And if you're not familiar with squared up rate, I'm looking on both sides, of both the batter and the pitcher. However, you know, most of these pitchers are getting squared up. And for squared up, that means the batter is getting the max exit velocity that he can from that pitch, and as well as like how fast they swing on that pitch. So, for instance, it takes in context like a 70 miles per hour curveball is not going to have the same max exit velocity as a 95 mile per hour fastball. So it takes into context both of those and says how much, you know, these pitchers are getting squared up. And you maxing out the exit velocity is going to give you a better chance of, you know, getting a hit. And then so let me find exactly. So I was looking at the, you know, the left pitchers versus left-handed hitters, you know, in the course of, where is these? Hold on, let me qualified 50. Over the course of the year, or the past 30 days, I'll say, these pitchers that I'm going, like Freddie, for example, he's top 4. He's given up a squared up rate of 36%. And then Nick Martinez, who I just talked about from Marte, is giving up a squared up percentage of 35%. Then, oh no, I didn't speak about him. That's somebody I was looking at though. Hold up one sec. Where is Nelson at? Oh, Nelson right there. 33%. You know, and then his righties on the other side. The league average is 26%. So all those pitchers that I just talked about are north of 30% when the league average is 26%. So this is why I like, you know, those matchups from the left side. I'll go find the right side as well. Let me just look them up. Make this faster. So Morton is getting up a squared up rate to righties 29%. And you got Williams from Cleveland getting up a squared up rate of 27.7%. The league average for righties is 25.8%. So all these pitchers are north of the average, and which is what I like, and especially those left-handed bats being north of 30%. But these are my picks. And then also for a home run, I like Carroll of Arizona going against Nick Martinez. Same things as Marte there. You know, Martinez is throwing that changeup and four-seamer. I'll get the exact stats for Carroll real quick. Either or could honestly go yard. You could pick Marte too, but I'm going to say Carroll. Carroll has a 667 ISO against that pitch mix, 4 extra base hits, 2 home runs, as well as a 16% barrel rate and a 0% K rate against that pitch mix over the course of the past 2 weeks. So I like that spot. I like there to be a lot of runs, as I said, in Cincinnati on today. But, you know, my top 5 is, we'll start with Freeman, Pena, Eli, Marte, Wilson, in that order. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you would like to be notified when I post, please subscribe to the channel and then turn on your notifications. Like, comment, share. Let me know if there's any different spots you want to talk about, you know, as far as pitchers, as far as, you know, batting in general, or the game of baseball. Thank you. Have a great day.